for a downtown stadium for the Chargers gains more support today, this time from business leaders. But what do the Chargers want? And is the mayor on board? The saga continues.
All of us had to wear bright red lipstick, and you had to have that lipstick on anywhere you went.
A look back today at women in the military and honoring those who served and moved on to higher education. And highlighting homelessness by camping on the lawn of the state capitol.
We want to make sure that the people that are sleeping here are safe and protected.
What homeless activists want and how they plan on getting it. This is Evening Edition on KPBS. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Local business leaders are warming up to the San Diego Chargers' idea of building a downtown stadium convention center complex. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the Regional Chamber of Commerce took an important vote today on the project.
The Chamber of Commerce today got a presentation from Fred Moss. He's been hired by the Chargers to spearhead their stadium efforts. After that meeting, the Chamber's president, Jerry Sanders, put out a statement saying the group voted in favor of exploring a downtown stadium linked to an expansion of the convention center, and it doesn't have to be attached to the current convention center. The Chargers are important to San Diego, he said, and we need to do what we can to keep the team here while also attracting convention business and tourism dollars to our city. The Chargers haven't officially released their plans for a new stadium, but details leaked this week to the Voice of San Diego and the San Diego Union Tribune. Now, they say the Chargers want to increase the hotel tax from 12.5% to 16.5%. Most of that would pay for the Stadium Convention Center project, but a fraction would go toward marketing San Diego tourism. Today's Chamber of Commerce vote ups the pressure on Mayor Kevin Faulconer to take a position on the so-called convadium, but he says he's not commenting until the Chargers go public with their plans. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
California firefighters are gearing up for wildfire season. The Department of Forestry and Fire Protection hired some 400 seasonal firefighters. Despite experiencing the wettest winter in 4 years, officials say the state's drought conditions continue.
Normally, we bring the firefighters on when it's time to start fighting fires. This year, we're bringing them on to help with the prevention of wildfires.
There have already been 240 fires in the state since January 1st. The seasonal firefighters will work with CAL FIRE for 9 months until December this year before getting laid off. For the second time in as many months, the Naval Medical Center was locked down for several hours today while law enforcement searched the facility for an unknown gunman. A Navy spokesman says an unidentified caller telephoned the hospital in the morning and told an employee there was an armed man in the administrative building. Officers did not find any suspects, but did find 4 unspent cartridges in various parts of the building. It's not clear if the ammunition had anything to do with the situation. In January, someone reported hearing gunshots at the facility, but a search turned up nothing. A jury decided today that Thomas Jefferson School of Law did not lure students with inflated postgraduate employment numbers. The verdict ends a lawsuit filed by a 2008 grad who sued the school, saying she spent more than $100,000 on her degree but wasn't able to find a full-time job as an attorney. At least 15 similar lawsuits have been filed in recent years against various law schools in the U.S. The 14 that are resolved were decided in favor of the schools. More than $1 billion, that's the penalty for false advertising in the California case against a bankrupt operator of for-profit colleges. A judge ordered at least $820 million in restitution to the students from Corinthian Colleges. The rest of the money covers civil penalties. Attorney General Kamala Harris accused the company of illegal predatory practices that left tens of thousands of students with large debts and useless degrees. Corinthian Colleges filed for bankruptcy in May. It's unclear if the state can collect. San Diego Unified wants to get more African American and Latino students into high school advanced placement classes. This would give them an edge in college. KPBS reporter Megan Burks has more on this so-called AP gap.
The district surveyed 11th and 12th graders and found nearly 2,000 students who would do well in AP courses but haven't enrolled. The gap is more pronounced among Latinos and African Americans. A third of eligible Latinos opted out, and nearly half of eligible African Americans are not enrolled. The survey found the students didn't know enough about the classes or were afraid they'd fail.
We found out that 89% of students across the district want to go to college. That's what they told us in the survey card. We asked our staff, and staff estimated that only 76% of our students have aspirations to go to college. So that was a little bit of a disconnect that might answer that question of, like, why aren't they enrolling? Well, do they have people who believe in them? We need to make sure that we've designed access to all of our students, no matter their background, and that we, have, as a system, have not limited opportunities. We've actually expanded opportunities.
Superintendent Cindy Martin met with principals today to ensure they'll offer enough AP classes next year, and schools are working to improve outreach to students and their parents. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
A San Diego salute to the Sisters in Arms. A military icon plays host to female student veterans where loved ones recognize their accomplishments and their sacrifices.
In 1918, for those of you who didn't know, Opha May Johnson was the first woman to enlist in the Marine Corps Reserves. 1918.
That's Nancy Dodd, Marine Corps veteran and guest speaker at the Sister in Arms ceremony aboard the USS Midway. The event was organized by student veteran organizations from Southwestern College and San Diego State University. It's part of Women's History Month, recognizing female veterans who are also enrolled students. Elena Vasquez was a chemical operations specialist in the United States Army.
We've made sacrifices. Sacrifices that a lot of people aren't willing to make anymore. You see recent polls of millennials coming to age saying that we should be in a fight, but they won't be willing to fight that fight. And we've done that.
One female veteran from each branch of service was honored at the event. And KPBS video journalist Chris Arciaga helped produce that story. The U.S. Census Bureau says San Diego County added more than 200,000 residents within a 5-year period. It brings the population total to almost 3.3 million people. The report found the region's population hike was due to natural increases, births minus deaths, and migration from other countries. San Diego's growth rate was the 7th highest in the state. A proposed state bill aims to reduce food waste by standardizing expiration date labels. Lawmakers say current labels are confusing. Some say best by a certain date, while others have hard expiration dates. The new system would have both and hopefully keep more food out of the landfills. A recent report by the Harvard Food Law and Policy Center finds about 40% of the food produced in the United States never gets eaten. The Assembly Health Committee will hear the legislation in April. For the past 4 months, a group of homeless people have been camped on the lawn of the state capitol. Capitol Television reporter Lonnie Rivera says they want to bring attention to a proposed bill that protects their rights to rest in public places.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, sir.
He refuses to ask for money.
Would you all be willing to sign that bill, SB 876? 876, please. Would you like to sign our petition? Would you like to sign the bill? Okay.
Instead, he begs for signatures.
Have a good day.
Lately, it's even more difficult than getting change.
And I have been homeless for the last 4 months because I couldn't afford the high rent. Good morning, sir.
Donald Turner is camped out under the trees of the California Capitol.
Good morning. Would you like to sign our bill?
He's pushing a petition drive for a proposed bill.
Good morning, sir.
It would protect the homeless from being arrested when resting in public places.
You gotta love state workers. Must be getting close to lunch. For some people, it's cold, it's damp, but we manage. We have a bunch of blankets and stuff and tarps. You see the camera, huh? It's not gonna hurt you.
Turner and his dog Bandit, who, by the way, doesn't like cameras, found each other on the streets.
Yeah. You barking at the camera? He was homeless. Yeah. And we became friends the first day, and I had him ever since. This is my buddy.
These days, his mission is to look out for others forced to pitch tents where they can.
We want to make sure that the people that are sleeping here are safe and protected. And basically that's what we're here to do.
The homeless activists have collected close to 600 petition signatures supporting the bill. Their goal is to reach 1,000.
Would you like to sign our petition for the homelessness?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. It's rough.
They have until next Tuesday to make it happen.
You was a Marine?
Yes, sir.
Simplify.
Hoorah.
Hoorah, bro.
The bill will be heard when lawmakers return from spring recess.
I just feel that the city just want to just get rid of homeless people, but they don't know how.
The homelessness crisis is complicated. It's something Turner acknowledges.
I'm not here to panhandle, because I don't. I'm a human being just like anybody else.
Here you go.
You know, I fought for this country. I fought for the freedom for people to do exactly what they do today. Good morning.
In Sacramento, Lonnie Rivera reporting.
Okay.
And Senate Bill 876 will be heard in a Senate committee next Tuesday. The bill prohibits law enforcement from citing or arresting the homeless for eating, resting, and practicing religion in public places. Another major issue for the homeless is mental illness. State lawmakers want to use money from a voter-approved tax on the wealthy to fund mental health services. That could raise up to $2 billion for the so-called No Place Like Home initiative. There are worries about smaller counties competing with larger ones for funding.
$2 billion could be leveraged to create $6 to $8 to $10 billion of investment. And we're not saying we can end homelessness, but we can do much better and help many more people.
The initiative was introduced last January. There's a new strategy to stop the abuse of highly addictive pain drugs like codeine. The FDA is calling on generic drug makers to develop painkillers that are harder to abuse. The current version of OxyContin is difficult to crush. Experts say this discourages abusers from snorting or dissolving the tablets to get high. Companies who want FDA approval may have to demonstrate their drugs have the same anti-abuse properties under new FDA guidelines. More soon-to-be-released inmates are training to use naloxone, a medication that may save their lives from a heroin overdose. Associated Press reporter Peter Banda shows us the supporters behind the heroin antidote.
A lot of them were our participants.
The faces lining the wall, daily reminders of lives cut short by drugs.
Or I'd see them once in a while.
Many of the deaths were from heroin overdoses, prompting the Harm Reduction Action Center to start handing out naloxone in 2012 to drug users.
Currently, we learned we've saved 332 lives with access to naloxone.
Also known as Narcan, the drug reverses the effects of an opioid overdose within minutes.
And right through the clothes and everything.
More first responders around the country now carry the antidote. Police last month used Narcan to revive this man who OD'd on heroin on a bus in suburban Philadelphia.
You don't really know what to do when that time happens like that.
For inmate Lee Gonzalez, the antidote came too late for a family member.
Actually, my uncle Carlos, he OD'd and he is dead. Rest in peace. He's dead right now from that.
Fueled by research showing former prisoners are more likely to die of an overdose within 2 weeks of their release, the County of Denver is now training inmates how to use naloxone.
Put it in the nostril, spray in half of it into one nostril, put it in the other nostril, push in the other half.
San Francisco and New York have similar programs in place.
This is enough medicine to save somebody, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
When people leave jail, if they relapse, they'll relapse using the same amount they used before they went into jail, and that puts them at extremely high risk for overdose.
But not everybody's on board with providing these kits to drug users.
So we've had some resistance from nurses and even some providers who will say, well, why are we doing this? We're just going to encourage people to use more. They're going to know they have this antidote at their disposal, so they'll maybe push it and use even more. And that's just absolutely never been shown to be the case.
Nearly 29,000 people died of opioid overdoses in 2014, a number 4 times higher than in 2000. The kits will soon be available to inmates at all Denver area jails, paid for in part by legal marijuana sales, a move to keep more faces off this wall. Peter Banda, The Associated Press, Denver.
Just how many genes are needed to sustain life? less than 500, according to new research by a San Diego genomics pioneer. KPBS science reporter David Wagner explains.
La Jolla scientist J. Craig Venter played an instrumental role in sequencing the first human genome. But for his latest study, he went smaller, much smaller. He and his colleagues wanted to create a cell with the smallest number of genes needed to sustain life. So they synthetically subtracted genes from a bacterium until they ended up with a living cell containing just 473 genes. In a teleconference, Venter said even after stripping the genome down to its bare essentials, he and his colleagues still couldn't tell the exact function of each gene.
32% of the genes required for life in this most simple of all organisms are of unknown function.
Venter hopes to help scientists fully understand what every essential gene in a cell is actually doing. David Wagner, KPBS News.
There's a wide range of technologies on the market or in development to help people whether they have physical or cognitive challenges. In tonight's Innovation Trail report, Sasha Ann Simons shows us students who are making new gadgets to help provide accessibility for everyone.
This is a really cool tool.
Barry Culhane is counting the days until he can finally walk again without help.
I walked into a herniated disc surgery and woke up paralyzed. Never expecting that.
The trained psychologist and former Army medic didn't let the sudden physical setback change his positive outlook.
You know, I'm an eternal optimist, so I kind of looked at this like, well, every path has its puddle, and this is going to be mine for a little while.
He's made great progress since the incident and thinks he'll be rid of the wheelchair and using only a walker in a few months. Culhane has served for years on the board of the Al Siegel Community of Agencies and sees firsthand how the company helps nonprofits in upstate New York provide resources to people with special needs. Meanwhile, his day job is at the Rochester Institute of Technology, where breakthrough technological advancements are practically at his fingertips. Culhane convinced the two organizations to work together to focus on access and inclusion for everyone. Fast forward a few years, and the partnership between Al Siegel and RIT has contributed to more than 70 effective access technology projects. Dan Phillips is an engineering professor at RIT who spearheads the design projects.
Using that technology to provide people, regardless of what abilities they have, better access to the things that we all have access to, is really the effective part.
Last year, Phillips sent 2 students to take part in a co-op program. For a semester, they worked full-time at different Al Siegel agencies, observed each workflow, and then began brainstorming. Crystal Mendoza-Paulin and her partner came back to RIT with dozens of ideas.
Our first week was actually with the Rochester Hearing and Speech Center. And the first project that actually jumped out at us was the idea of a smart rug.
The student noticed some challenges for the therapists working with children with developmental disabilities. Grabbing their attention during class time was one thing, but she says once the kids were removed from the classroom and asked to go for a walk, the lack of focus intensified.
So we thought, well, if we could put out like a mat along the hallway and maybe do some lights or other attention, calling, something that would focus them, that would help them just with that motor planning of walking down the hallway with their teachers and other students.
The rug is in pieces right now, but the school's industrial design team is hard at work trying to perfect it.
The first module would start interacting, emitting lights and sounds. Once the child approaches the first module, it would stop blinking and interacting, and then the second module would start working. Once you get to the second one, the third would start, and then so on.
Nearby on campus, the senior design team is working on other inventions. One group is developing an all-terrain walker for people with disabilities like cerebral palsy or multiple sclerosis. They say it will easily trudge through dips and bumps on sidewalks and in parks.
So this is just like a prototype?
Yeah, it's just something we were using as a testing rig. This is a ratchet on the actual wheel, and the user will be able to use this lever arm to push themselves along. So they can sit down on the walker and use their arms to push themselves because their legs might not work so well to do that.
Each year, the projects are put on display at RIT's Effective Access Technology Conference. It's an event for researchers and developers to share solutions for access and inclusion. The third conference was held last November.
And this is the latest one. So here we have implemented the innovation thing using these two sensors.
To assist a blind person, an electronic voice inside this smart cane can warn of an oncoming obstacle, and using vibration on the cane's left or right side can tell the person which direction to avoid.
Take a cane and now GPS, couple it with some sensors to give you an idea of proximity of a curb or a wall, integrate it all together, and then provide the feedback basically via touch.
Culhane says he hopes that down the line, these future engineers and business owners will develop companies that will produce the devices on a larger scale. But for the students working right alongside the people who need the technology the most, their fulfillment comes simply from making a difference.
It changes them, and that's something, you can't put in a curriculum.
For the Innovation Trail, I'm Sasha Ann Simons.
And this Innovation Trail report was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. More clear, sunny skies ahead of Easter weekend. Heather Waldman shows us the cooling trend hitting San Diego next week. That's on tonight's KPBS Weather Report.
It's another beautiful day in Southern California. Next couple of days are looking just as great. Good news. I'm sure lots of kids off for the week for spring break, maybe coming up on Easter weekend as well. Looks like the weather should cooperate nicely for any egg hunts, any family gatherings you have going on. The weather is going to be great. Satellite and radar shows just a few clouds moving across northern and central California. A big ridge is built over us, and that's going to keep things dry for several days. Temperatures on the cool side tonight, but seasonably so, especially inland. Ramona tonight drops to 38 degrees, 43 in Alpine, just 33 degrees at Mount Laguna. But notice coastal areas, we get to stay a little bit milder. 57 degrees in San Diego, 52 in Chula Vista. So you're going out late tonight, you might want the jackets. As we go into the day on Friday, though, a nice dry northwesterly wind is going to keep things bright and sunny. Big old area of high pressure still set up over the region. Again, keeping things very pleasant as we go through the end of this week and into the holiday weekend as well. Here's a sneak peek at your Saturday and Sunday forecast. Not a whole lot of changes from the last couple of days. Nice big ridge built over the western U.S. And again, that dry northerly flow, we're going to shove all the rain once again into the northwestern U.S. While we could certainly use a little bit of rain in Southern California, it's nice coming up on a big weekend to know that the weather is going to cooperate just fine. Central and eastern U.S., little bit of a different story. A storm system will keep the rain and even a couple of thunderstorms fairly widespread over the next couple of days, but no such thing to worry about at the coast through the next 5 days. Look at this. Temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s Saturday and Easter Sunday. Overnight lows stay close to 50 degrees. We do start to see things shift a little bit by early next week, though. Monday, watch for an afternoon shower. Chance for more showers on Tuesday. So going back to the office next week, be ready. Could be some slowdowns out there on the roads, and you might want to have the umbrellas close by just in case. Very similar scenario inland. Temperatures a little bit warmer, upper 60s, low 70s, with plenty of bright sunshine all the way through this weekend. But again, Monday afternoon into Tuesday, watching the opportunity for some of those showers to come back. Temperatures will be a few degrees cooler as well. Mid-60s should be as warm as we get for the day on Tuesday. Even cooler into the mountains. Look at this. We go from near 70 Easter Sunday with beautiful bright sunshine to the 40s on Tuesday. Cool enough for a couple of snow showers in some spots as well. And here's a sneak peek at the deserts. We go from near 90 on Friday to the low 70s on Tuesday. Heather Waldman, KPBS News.
The symptoms mirror the exact same symptoms an older Jewish man would have. And I'm exhausted because I was not feeling well, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Remembering a comic icon, Gary Shandling died today. The Chicago native became a cult classic with his show, It's Gary Shandling's Show. He earned a couple of Golden Globe nods for his parody on late-night talk shows, The Larry Sanders Show. He inspired a legion of high-profile comedians, from Amy Schumer to Jimmy Kimmel. Doctors believe Shandling died from a heart attack. He was 66 years old.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. We're on the ground in Brussels with the latest in the investigation into this week's terrorist attacks. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
Just kicking it, the Mexican national soccer team got a formidable opponent for its San Diego match this summer. Copa America reigning champion Chile will take the field at Qualcomm on June 1st. The team features star players from the FC Barcelona and Arsenal. This game will serve as a tune-up for both teams for the Copa America Centenario, which begins on June 3rd. Let's move outside. First Lady Michelle Obama's initiative to get kids moving outdoors has arrived. San Diego is one of the first 50 cities in the U.S. to launch the program. Officials say it will teach local youth about the importance of staying active, and it will prepare them as the next generation of outdoor stewards.
We want to reach millions of children through recreation and education programs. We want to support 1 million volunteers on our public lands annually, and we want to provide 100 young adults and returning vets with job opportunities on public lands.
The program will run as a partnership between the Department of Interior, the city, and the local YMCA. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, take a look at activism that may have helped sweep Latinos into power in the Central Valley. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio, and you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.